Tonight, we examine the growing spotlight on ADC, what it represents ahead of 2027, and how ongoing defections may shape Nigeria's political future. I'm joined by the coordinator, ADC Media Committee, Chris Ojekere. Chris Ojekere, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
It's always nice to have you on our set. All right, let's begin with the ADC, the African Democratic Congress. Why is the party attracting growing national attention ahead of the 2027 general election?
I think the answer to that question is very simple.
Okay.
Every society has what we may refer to as epochal divisions. When certain activities and actions and behavioral patterns of a particular epoch becomes obvious to the people, the grassroots people that form that community, the grassroots people begin to look for alternatives to those kind of actions and behavioral patterns that has not benefited them in any way.
Okay.
The epoch we are in Nigeria now is an epoch of enlightenment. The social media has helped political enlightenment. The global village has been exposed to the boy in the village in Obojobu and the boy in the village in Agbanikaka, and they have been able to follow what is going on in the world. And the language of the world everywhere in politics is how particular nations and communities must develop their communities, must make their home for its citizens. And that's why you find that the American First is taking traction, gaining so much traction in America. When Donald Trump came in and realized that America has no other home to go to. America is their home. America has to use its resources to make America great again, so that American citizens can find satisfaction within their community and then stay back home. Now, in Nigeria, for far too long, there have been serious disappointment of the masses, the grassroots of this nation, and people are totally fed up with those kind of shenanigans, with those kind of subterfuges and lies, threadbare, empty lies that politicians tell them. In this particular regime, between 2023 and today, Nigerians have experienced the worst form of standard of living, the highest form of cost of living, the worst form of polarization, the worst form of insecurity, the worst form of religious intolerance, and all sorts of things from 2023 up until these days. And so they became totally fed up with the present government. The only information Nigerians get from the present government is tax increases and tariff increases. That's all they get as information.
Okay, so
nobody gets information about how the citizens of Nigeria will be protected from this present government. Nobody gets information about how their take-home pay can even take them home from this present government. Nobody gets information how their sufferings can be ameliorated by the policies of this present government. So Nigerians are here to look for solution. ADC Purvious, having recognized that lacuna, that gap, decided to present to Nigeria an alternative platform that will be a solution platform, a revolution of kind for Nigerians to find an avenue to be able to realize their aspiration. And aspiration here now is not any tall thing. It's just to survive. Subsistence.
Okay,
subsistence aspiration.
All right. So what is that game-changing vision or political strategy that you would say sets the ADC apart
from other dominant parties? The first one is that
parties?
If you look at the pyramid of the ADC, it's bottom heavy.
Okay.
If you look at the pyramid of all other parties, it's top heavy. So the ADC started with grassroots mobilization. It's blowing forth now, and people have seen ADC and are wondering, where did all these people come from, and how did ADC manage to grow? The ADC took an approach that was very different. Go to the grassroots and identify with the people. Identify with their pains, identify with their needs, genuine needs and aspirations. Let them know that Nigeria has hope through this party. Let them know that they can subsist, and indeed they can survive, and indeed they can prosper. So grassroots mobilization is one of the strategies that ADC used. And people who have been alienated from government, people who have had government talk down on them, now started seeing a party that talk with them, a party that is inclusive and integrative. And that's why they have opened the doors, and now people are pouring in. You know, ADC is growing from the bottom up. So we are heavier at the bottom and light at the pyramid.
Do you really have this structure that you can use to, you know, handle this grassroots penetration that you're talking about?
And that's another thing that is very unique about the ADC's approach. Now, far too long, there have been so much proselyting based on what we may refer to as a mental recalibration, where the psyche of people have been battered by the empty words of the former politicians to make you think that structure means big names. But structure actually means the voters. It actually means the people of the community, the people of the land, the people of the state, the people of the nation, that are actually the ones who go out in numbers to vote on the voting day. And so when you talk about the structure simply means who has the larger population of followers that are not induced by money or induced by any other pecuniary, you know, matters, that are ready to follow. So if you talk about that, ADC is now the structure. The entire obedient movement, which shook this country to its roots without their leader giving them any shishi, who were proud to identify with the fact that they were not giving any shishi, because the fact that they didn't give them any shishi made them to believe in themselves and believe in their values, have moved on into the ADC when they saw the trajectory of the ADC. So we have the structure. If we did an election today, ADC will win hands down in this country, because the people are the ones who will vote, not those, you know, structure in quote, you know, big names in quote. Okay. So it is the structure. We have the structure across the country.
All right, now you're already, like some other politicians, are making some subtle campaign moves. And what does this early political positioning tell us about the 2027 election?
It simply tells that people can't wait to change the existing status quo that have not benefited them. Now, it is not actually ADC that started the subtle campaign.
Okay.
It was the APC that started the subtle campaign. I remember that as far back as about a year and a half ago, a year ago, the president himself warned zealous governors, like our governor in the States, to tell them it's too early for you to begin to put out billboards to say, Asiwaju 2027 is guaranteed. Let us concentrate on governance. They lost focus of governance and concentrated in putting out signboards and billboards and quoting statistics that they are going to give to the president as if vote is a gift. ADC concentrated in discussing with the electorate and making them see the danger of abandoning government for politics. Now it is time for politics, because it's necessary that it's election. So it is very normal now for politicians and political parties to begin to, you know, take position towards next year's election. And that's what we are doing so far. You won't see one of our banner outside saying vote for this or vote for that. You won't see that outside. What we are just doing is talking with the people, positioning them, so putting them into structures and helping them to organize and giving them hope that they have a event where they can, you know, express themselves and realize their aspirations. That's what we are doing.
Okay, now you're making so much promises to the people come 2027 if the ADC takes over. Some persons might also think that there could be a repeat of 2015. You know how a large number of people tilted towards a particular political party, saying they were tired of the one already in control, already in charge of the affairs of the country. But when that one came in, at a time it wasn't Uhuru, it didn't meet the expectations of the people. Are we not, what assurances are you going to give the people that there won't be a repeat of that?
After God and the Holy Spirit, experience is the next best teacher.
Okay.
And because experience is the best teacher, there is so much we have learned from experience. That 2015 that you are saying, you have only a marginal portion of bloggers who are discussing national politics among the youth. But if you take time now to do your statistics, you'll be shocked the number of youth that are interested in national politics and discussing it intelligently and reeling out expectations. So right now, the masses, the voters, are so wise that they know the candidates that will deliver results for them. And that's the candidate they will vote for. And that's the party they will vote for. So once you have the right candidates who will come through the right process, not imposed, that candidate is likely going to turn out to be a very good governor or president. The reason is, it is not he alone that will rule. It is the process that brought him, and then the masses that brought him, because you are going to bring him based on his antecedents and credentials. So the chances of repeating 2015 is very slim, because right now we have experience on our side, we have information on our side, we have awareness on our side. What we are asking, and which we are going to demand and which we are going to have, is a free and fair election, where the people must be allowed to pick their candidates, and then also allowed to make their electoral choices and electoral votes and express their electoral, choices. And that must count. The votes must count after the choices have been made. That is what all Nigerians should put their hands on. It's good for everybody. It's good for democracy. Once you allow the people to choose, the people almost 99% of the time chose correctly.
Okay. So now, how important will alliances, mergers, and strategic partnerships be in shaping the next general elections?
Well, maybe it's too early for me to begin to make predictions, but the way you are seeing Nigeria, we seem to be going towards the American type of system, where you have two major parties, Republican and Democrats. And right now, I'm seeing that in Nigeria. I'm seeing emergence of two large parties, and then you are going to have smaller parties that will be there. You know, in America, they have up to about 5 or 6 parties, but you talk of only the Republicans because those are the two dominant parties. I think that's where we are going there. Now, what we are seeing right now is people say there is no ideology. There's ideology. It's just that we have to give expression to that ideology. The ideology of stomach first, self-preservation, grab it and run with it, and the milocon, is an ideology. They are on one part. Then the ideology of Nigeria must survive. We don't want a one-party state. We don't want, a government that is insensitive to the people, and we are ready to pay the price for it. That's also an ideology. So you have two parties emerging right now, two large parties. One, the APC, pursuing the former things I have said, and the ADC pursuing the latter. So we have right now subtle ideology working imperceptibly. So what we have right now is going to stand as two major parties when we get to 2027. Okay,
let's quickly look at the issue of defections. Yes. In Plateau State, the recent defection involving the governor has generated national debate. And what does this development signal about party loyalty and ideological commitment in Nigerian politics? Because, are these defections actually driven by political survival and power calculations, or by genuine policy or ideological differences?
It is a hammer. We used to have one program, you call it a hammer house of horror. That's what it is. It is a total house of confusion. It is not an individual that owns a ticket. That was proved in Rotimi Amichi's case. It's the party that owns a ticket.
Okay.
Every person who is in position of power, elected through a party and by the people, who midway defects from that party as a governor or whatever to another party, has betrayed his party, has betrayed his election, has betrayed that position. And this thing is there in the courts. One court giving one ruling to the other one giving. You have actually lost that ticket because it is the party that owns that ticket, not you. So all the defection that you are saying, defecting to APC, is just power positioning and actually self-preservation. Because many of these governors have dipped their hands in the cookie jar, and then they are invited and shown their records and shown their files. If not, has anyone given us any good reason that is off the book? I mean, that is outside the box, that that you say, okay, yes, this is a very good reason for defecting? No one has said it. For instance, Delta governor told us that they cannot fight Tinubu in 2027. That's why they are defecting there. Others will tell you that, like the latest one that defected now in Plateau State that they just received. Everybody there spoke. Shetima, who is the vice president, spoke further, more than every other person. And you know why? He was surprised and happy that after Plateau State have suffered so much from insecurity of their regime, that the governor still choose to join them. Okay. Shetima was elected. He got that unity. The governor is irresponsible as far as I'm concerned. Okay. He did not demand of the federal government protection for his people. He did not ask them why they didn't give them security. He rewarded them by defecting to the party.
Now that says to say is irresponsible. That's your opinion.
Yes.
All right.
Responsibility was put in his hand. Okay. He did not live up to the responsibility.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Chris Ojekere. Coordinator, ADC Media Committee in Edo State. Edo State, right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
And we shift to other matters.